Africa just took another sharp turn. Botswana's president has joined forces with Ibrahim Traoré and dropped a political bombshell, rejecting Western-style democracy. The announcement has stunned the continent, infuriated global powers, and ignited a fiery new debate. The question now, what comes next? And I see people making strange comparisons to Paul Kagame, my good friend Ibrahim Traoré, and I say some of these people operate in a slightly different environment, where their word is obeyed instantly, without question. It's a different environment. Say this guy isn't doing things, he's doing them. He wakes up, he dreams about them. The next morning he makes a statement. It's law. It's policy. Action follows. And I wake up and I say things. They look at me and say, "What is this? What is this man talking about? We need to go through this and that phase and, put everything up for grabs. Open the competition. It takes 2 years. Then we evaluate. Then there are complaints. Then there is an interdict. We wait another 4 years. At this point, we have to go and give an account to the people and they will fire us. Those who came before me did not fail because they had no ideas. Maybe they had even better ideas. They simply did not implement them." From this shocking and unexpected speech, it is now clear that the newly elected president of Botswana, Dumabo, has ignited a firestorm with a speech that challenges the very sacred cow of democracy. Speaking with unapologetic sincerity, Boo joined the revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, in declaring that democracy, far from being Africa's salvation, is a shackle that holds back progress, saying, his words, spoken with the conviction of a man who saw the weaknesses of the system, shocked observers, provoked. The debates have sparked heated debates and raised a crucial question. Is Africa's obsession with Western-style democracy a trap set by colonial powers to keep the continent subjugated? As a Pan-Africanist journalist, I argue that Boo's comments, inspired by Traoré's uncompromising revolutionary vision, mark a turning point, a clear call for African leaders to free themselves from the chains of a system that has enriched the puppets while impoverishing the masses. Boo's remarks come on the heels of similarly incendiary comments by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 36-year-old revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, who has become a symbol of defiance against Western hegemony in Africa. Just a few weeks ago, Traoré addressed his people in a televised speech, unequivocally rejecting democracy as a path to development. "We are not in a democracy. We are in a revolution," Traoré proclaimed. "If we have to say it loud and clear, we are not in a democracy. We are in the midst of a progressive people's revolution. Everyone needs to understand that." It is all the more surprising that those who are supposed to be intellectuals, who have been to school, can imagine that a country can develop into a democracy. This is false. It is not possible to name a single country that has developed into a democracy. Democracy is only the end result. We must necessarily go through a revolution, and we are indeed in a revolution. Traoré's words, spoken with the fiery conviction of a man who expelled French troops from his territory and nationalized key industries, struck a deep chord with a generation of Africans tired of Western-backed puppet regimes and the empty promises of liberal democracy. His assertion that democracy leads to a disorderly society, and his insistence that Burkina Faso is on a revolutionary path, found an unexpected ally in Dumabo, whose own criticism of the backwardness of democracy has caused astonishment and intense speculation. Did Traoré's unapologetic stance open Boo's eyes to the limitations of the system he once defended? Or is Boo, a seasoned lawyer and opposition leader, simply articulating a truth that has long simmered beneath the surface of African political discourse? To understand the gravity of Boo and Traoré's positions, we must first confront the uncomfortable reality of democracy in Africa, a system often seen as the pinnacle of governance, but which in practice has served as a Trojan horse for Western interests. Since the wave of independence movements in the 1960s, African nations have been coerced into adopting democratic structures modeled on Western liberal ideals, often under the guise of good governance. Yet these systems have consistently failed to deliver the prosperity and sovereignty they promised. Instead, they have entrenched a cycle of dependency, corruption, and underdevelopment. With African leaders beholden to foreign powers and multinational corporations, the democratic process with its endless checks and balances has been left in tatters. Checks and balances, competitions and consultations, has become a straitjacket for African progress. In countries like Botswana, hailed as a democratic success story, the reality is much more complex. Despite its relative stability and diamond wealth, Botswana struggles with high unemployment, stark inequality, and an over-reliance on a single commodity, diamonds controlled by giant multinationals. The bureaucracy that Boo so vividly describes ensures that transformative policies get bogged down in years of deliberation, leaving citizens frustrated and leaders powerless to implement meaningful change. This is no accident. The West, through institutions like the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, the World Bank, and several others, has weaponized democracy to maintain control over Africa's resources and political direction, promoting a model of universal governance. They ensure that African leaders remain engaged in processes that prioritize foreign interests over national development. Elections, often manipulated through media funding and influence, serve as a mechanism to install compliant leaders, puppets, who parrot democratic rhetoric while siphoning wealth to Western capitals. The result is a continent rich in resources but poor in results, where the democratic facade masks a neo-colonial reality. Consider Nigeria, where democratic elections have produced leaders who oversee rampant corruption and economic stagnation, while multinational oil companies plunder the Niger Delta, or Kenya, where electoral politics have fueled ethnic divisions and cemented a political elite that serves foreign interests at the expense of the common good. In these and countless other examples, democracy has not been a tool of liberation, but a chain that binds Africa to its exploiters. The West's insistence on democracy as the only legitimate form of governance is not intended to empower Africans, but to ensure that the continent remains a pliable playground for global capitalism. In contrast, leaders like Rwanda's Paul Kagame and Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré have shown that decisive revolutionary governance can produce tangible results, even in the face of Western criticism. Kagame, often labeled an authoritarian by Western media, has transformed Rwanda from a post-genocide wasteland into one of Africa's most dynamic economies. Since taking power in 2000, Kagame has overseen average annual GDP growth of 7 to 8%, reduced poverty rates from 57% in 2005 to 38% in 2017, and positioned Rwanda as a hub for technology and innovation. His government's investments in health, education, and infrastructure, such as the Kigali Innovation City, have made Rwanda a model for development while keeping a tight rein on political dissent. Kagame's approach, which prioritizes action over endless debate, has enabled Rwanda to bypass the bureaucratic inertia that Boo laments. By centralizing power and streamlining decision-making, Kagame has implemented policies with remarkable speed, from universal health coverage to ambitious renewable energy projects. While critics have railed against his crackdown on opposition, Kagame argues that stability and progress require a strong hand, especially in a region marked by conflict and foreign interference. For many Africans, Rwanda's clean streets, efficient governance, and economic vitality contrast sharply with the chaos of democratic experiments elsewhere. Similarly, Ibrahim Traoré has emerged as a revolutionary icon, galvanizing Burkina Faso and inspiring a continent-wide movement for sovereignty. Since seizing power in a 2022 coup, Traoré has taken bold steps to restore Burkina Faso's fortunes. He has expelled French troops, ended a decades-long military pact with France, and nationalized key industries, including gold mining. His government has prioritized self-sufficiency, investing in local agriculture and manufacturing to reduce dependence on foreign aid. Traoré's vision, rooted in the Pan-Africanist legacy of Thomas Sankara, rejects the Western democratic model as a tool of neo-colonial control. "He who feeds you controls you," Sankara famously said that Traoré took to heart. Under the leadership of Traoré, Burkina Faso is undergoing a radical transformation, despite the ongoing security challenges posed by jihadist insurgencies. His ability to mobilize popular support evidenced by thousands of protesters in Ouagadougou after a failed coup attempt in April 2025, underscores the resonance of his revolutionary message. Traoré's insistence that democracy is only the end result and that revolution is necessary for development has struck a chord, especially among young Africans who see him as a fearless leader in confronting the West and its proxies. Dumaboko's recent comments suggest that he is awakening to the same truths that fueled the success of Kagame and Traoré. By acknowledging the limitations of democracy and expressing admiration for Traoré's decisive leadership, Bou positions himself as a potential revolutionary in a country long wedded to Western democratic ideals. His promise to upend bureaucratic processes and prioritize action over endless competition signals a willingness to challenge the status quo, even if it means courting controversy. In a move no one saw coming, Botswana's president has made a decision that could reshape African politics for years to come. In a joint statement with Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader, Ibrahim Traoré, he announced that Botswana would begin dismantling imported democratic structures and adopt a new model of governance rooted in African identity, culture, and sovereignty. The world stood still. Botswana, long hailed by the West as one of Africa's most stable democracies, has always been positioned as a poster child for political balance. But now, that image is being rewritten, and not with hesitation, but with confidence. Standing beside Traoré, the Botswanan president declared, "We have followed systems that were not made for us. We have voted for decades, yet our people remain poor. We seek not chaos but a model that serves our soul, not just our ballot box." The shockwaves were immediate. International observers expressed concern, calling it a dangerous turn toward authoritarianism. Western media outlets questioned the future of governance on the continent, but inside Africa, something different was happening, something louder, something deeper. Support poured in from youth organizations, farmers, laborers, and even traditional leaders who felt that democracy, as it had been packaged, delivered very little. The applause wasn't for dictatorship, it was for liberation. A liberation from systems designed elsewhere for different histories, imposed through colonial rule and preserved through economic pressure. What made the announcement even more powerful was the alliance it solidified. Botswana and Burkina Faso, two countries with vastly different pasts, were now standing shoulder to shoulder, demanding the freedom to rethink governance, restructure power, and reshape the future without Western permission. Ibrahim Traoré, already a rising symbol of African defiance, embraced the moment with clarity. "This is not a rejection of freedom," he said. "This is the start of self-definition. But the path ahead is risky. The move invites criticism, sanctions, and isolation. It demands clarity on what will replace the current system, and it risks internal division if not handled with transparency." Yet both leaders appear ready to weather the storm for a chance to build something truly African, by Africans, for Africans. Across the continent, conversations have shifted. University campuses are holding debates. Civil society groups are rethinking engagement. A new wave of political awakening is spreading, not just about elections but about systems, values, and independence. And while critics say this is the death of democracy, others believe it's the birth of something more authentic. Botswana's decision may not be the last. As more nations reflect on Traoré's rise and this new alliance, one truth becomes undeniable. Africa is no longer asking for political validation. It is demanding political evolution. And if this is the beginning of a new order, the world must now decide, will it watch in fear or finally start listening?